Hello, accountability buddies. I'm Les, and this is another episode of Less is More Healthy, coming to you from the car as I run errands, as I do on one day of my weekend. So, um, this weekend I took Friday off. I played hooky from work. It's not really playing hooky because I talked to my boss about it, and not really in advance the day of, and had a personal thing that I had to take care of in the morning, and decided to just take the rest of the day as a personal day. Fortunately, I had a banked comp day left over, so Friday I just get paid to do it. It doesn't come out of my PTO either, which is wonderful. So um, yeah, so on Friday I did a 12.5 mile ride. On Saturday I did a 24.9, I'm just going to call it 25 mile ride, and pretty stoked about that. I don't usually do uh, multiple rides on the same weekend over 10 miles. Um, and it worked out really, really well for me. So let's talk about one of the things that I've been wanting to talk about and kind of explore is the difference in recovery time. So last year around this time of year, I had been doing like 5 mile rides, 6 mile rides, and I was trying to keep it on mostly flat surfaces, not doing a lot of hills. And what I found was when I did my first 25 mile ride, I hurt for a week afterwards. My muscles were wrecked for days afterwards. And then my sit bones, my ass was in pain for literally days, for a week, at least a week afterwards. My ass was in pain. So this year, my plan to work up to the mileage worked really well for me because I don't hurt today at all. So I did several weeks of 5 and 6 mile rides, built that up, did 8, 9, and 10 mile rides, and last weekend did a 17, almost 18 mile ride, and then decided this weekend I was going to do a 20 mile ride. When I hit the 10 mile mark, I was like, I feel great. I'm going to continue out to the end of the trail rather than turn around. Took a break at the end of the trail, which I think was important. And then it wasn't until I hit the 20 mile mark where I realized, hey, my sit bones are not happy right now. And I don't think it's the saddle. I think it's just I'm not accustomed to sitting in the saddle for 20 plus miles. I didn't have that kind of pain for the 18 mile ride, the 17, 18 mile ride. And I think part of it is that when I did the circuit of Salem, that was my 17, 18 mile ride, it was on mostly smooth pavement, a little bit of trail here and there. Some of the trail was paved, did a tiny bit of gravel, but the difference is this year, in the day before I did the 25 mile ride, I did a ton of gravel the day before. And while my sit bones didn't hurt that day, I think the accumulation of doing 12.5 miles where a good, I'd say 5 miles were on pretty rough single track, um, where pretty much my saddle was um, pounding my sit bones, if you will. I think the combination of that was a lot. So I'm going to see what happens next weekend when I do another 25 mile ride that's mostly smooth. Um, I'm going to see how that feels. Now, comparing and contrasting last year, all like when I did that 25 mile ride, I hurt for a week afterwards. I don't hurt today. My sit bones feel fine. My legs and muscles feel fine. I had a little bit of muscle tightness in my shoulders and my lower back, but even that throughout the day has just worked itself out. So I really think that the training that I did in advance of the 25 mile ride has been huge. Now, I don't usually combine days where I ride a more than 10 miles with a 25 mile after it, or anything over 10 miles back to back. And part of that is I want to make sure that I have enough time to recover. But what I'm learning about my body is that with proper preparation, that I can do back to back days. So I really want to see what happens next weekend. I think I'm going to do like another 25-mile a day. I think next Saturday I'm going to ride out to Ipswich. I'm going to recreate that ride that I did for the first long ride last year this year. And that is going to be a much more challenging ride for me than the ride I did yesterday. The ride out to Ipswich has way more hills, way longer hills. Um, while it's all on smooth tar, it is just a more challenging ride. I'm tempted to do part of like ride out to the rail trail, do part of the rail trail, and then see how far I can get to Ipswich from the rail trail. I'm pretty sure there's a spot where I can get out to Ipswich pretty easily. Um, I also have a friend who lives out near there, so I might go meet her as well. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens. But the important thing to note is that even though I have type 2 diabetes, the first long ride doesn't have to be miserable for a week afterwards. Like that build up, the 5, 8, 10-mile build up to the 25-mile ride with plenty of hills as part of that training route, um, I think has made all of the difference in the world. I also think I was starting from a spot of greater fitness. Um, last year I've been hiking and I've been doing walking and I've been walking for hours and hiking for hours, but that is vastly different than cycling for hours on end. Um, and I think it's just good to like build up instead of just doing a crazy 25-mile ride on a challenging route with lots of hills and lots of like intense hills that are short burst that I just don't have on the route that I'm currently doing or near the route that I'm currently doing. I also think I could potentially do the ride to work much more easily now than I could last year. So I'm actually really looking forward to doing the commute to work coming up soon. The unfortunate thing is that I'm not going to have the same space as I had last year. So the downside of what's going to work is it's been some restructuring in terms of space and space usage. Um, Last year, the the space that I used, the studio space and the bathroom, was when there was no group scheduled in that space, it was all mine. Um, I also didn't have a work from home day. But this year, when I'm not using that space, someone else will be using that space, which means that I can't hang my cycling gear in the restroom anymore. I had purchased a small plug-in fan or rechargeable fan rather to help dry off my cycling gear in the restroom, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that this year. But I do think on the weeks where I'm not scheduled to have groups, that I don't actually have to even go into work. I'm going to be working from home those days. The downside is that I don't have a full size printing press or Vandercooks at home. I have mini presses and a mini press, but no Vandercook. So yeah, some downsides to this new restructuring for sure. That's going to really change my commuting to work. But I think that also means I'm going to be able to just get up early and go for a bike ride and come home and shower. So some good and bad stuff happening. Definitely want to get on those rail trails that are the route to work. I also think that the G1 can handle the roads on the way to work in a way that the Kona couldn't. So anyway, that's a little discussion of my ramp up and the changes that I've put into place for my fitness. I'm going to continue with doing some of the shorter rides with hills. I'm going to add some longer rides with hills just to make sure that I'm doing some climbing, that I'm working on those cardiovascular um, fitness levels, and hoping that when I go ahead and I do part of the East Coast Greenway, I'm going to try and section the East Coast Greenway. I'm going to start working on doing sections of it over the next year or so, seeing how much of it I can get done. But anyway, that's my plan. That's where I feel like I am in terms of fitness. And I want to thank all the new subscribers. Thank you for being here. Thanks for all of those subscriptions and the thumbs ups, the likes, and all of that fun stuff. I really appreciate y'all being here and tuning in. So, anyway, I will see you next time. Thanks and bye.